You know that familiar creeping feeling, don't you? That scratchy throat, maybe a cough starting,
Mm-hmm.
and then, ugh, that undeniable weight in your chest. A common cold really taking hold.
Right. And sometimes it feels like it digs in deeper than usual.
Exactly. It's especially worrying, I think, particularly as we get a bit older, when a simple bug seems to, well, morph into something more stubborn.
Settling right in the chest.
Yeah, and maybe leaves you feeling a bit short of breath even long after the sniffles are gone. It makes you wonder if your lungs are truly recovering.
It does. You start questioning, is everything okay down there?
Well, today, we're not just wading through tips, we're taking a really fascinating deep dive. We're looking into some, well, unexpected home approaches to support lung health and just general well-being.
Okay.
We've explored some insights into simple, everyday ingredients, and even a very unusual helper, frankly, for dealing with common lung issues.
From prevention through to recovery support.
Yes, exactly. Things you can supposedly do right from the comfort of your home,
And it is striking, isn't it, how accessible some of these methods are presented as potential ways to tackle what feel like pretty serious problems sometimes.
like those coughs that just hang around forever.
Exactly, those lingering coughs or that just unsettling feeling that your breathing isn't quite right after you've been ill.
Right.
So our mission today is really to unpack these practical steps,
Huh.
the theory behind them, how they might help prevent complications from things like colds or chest infections,
Mhm.
specifically looking at how to perhaps avoid issues like that persistent shortness of breath or a cough that just won't quit. And we're going to try and break down how these ideas are supposed to work, without getting bogged down in complicated medical speak.
That's absolutely key. Plain language is what we need. So, okay, for those of us trying to proactively avoid those complications, what exactly is happening inside our lungs when a routine cold starts to feel like it's escalating? Can you walk us through that?
Absolutely. So when you're dealing with maybe a more severe chest cold or perhaps a deeper lung infection, sometimes the problems can actually start in the tiny, really intricate network of blood vessels within the lungs themselves.
Okay, the tiny ones.
Yeah, the tiniest. Imagine your lungs have millions of incredibly delicate little streams carrying blood. During an infection, sometimes these streams can develop very small impediments, almost like microscopic blockages form.
Log jams, sort of.
Kind of, yeah. And if those aren't addressed, these little blockages, which, a doctor might call thrombosis, tiny blood clots, they can eventually lead to parts of your lung tissue becoming stiff and scarred.
Scarring. Okay, that definitely sounds quite serious.
It can be. You might have even heard people say something like, oh, 20 or 30% of my lungs aren't working properly after they've had a really bad illness.
Right, I have heard that.
Well, this scarring, the medical term is fibrosis. That's precisely what can lead to that feeling of reduced lung function or that persistent shortness of breath.
So tissue itself changes.
Exactly. This hardened, scarred tissue, it's just less elastic. It's less efficient. It reduces the lung's ability to fully expand, take in enough air, and crucially, transfer oxygen into your bloodstream effectively.
Oh.
So over time, that just makes every breath feel harder, less productive.
That makes sense. And it certainly sounds like something we'd all want to try and prevent if possible. So let's talk about how to tackle this, starting with a simpler home approach you mentioned, using baking soda steam.
Mm-hmm.
The core idea here, as I understand it, from the insights, is to create an alkaline environment. And apparently that can be quite beneficial when dealing with respiratory issues.
Well, it's a fair question, isn't it? Why steam and why baking soda? The thinking seems to be that the steam's warmth itself is, soothing. It can help loosen congestion, open up the airways a bit.
Sure, that makes sense.
But it's the alkaline vapor that's suggested as the real active part here, creating an environment that, in theory, supports the body's natural defenses, makes the conditions less hospitable for those respiratory challenges to get worse.
Okay, so it's trying to make the lungs less welcoming for the problem.
That seems to be the idea. The goal is either to sort of stop problems before they really take root, or if they've started, to prevent them from progressing into those more serious complications, like the tiny clots and potential scarring we just discussed.
Right. And how exactly do you do this? Is it complicated?
No, actually, there are a couple of very practical options described. If you happen to have one of those dedicated steam inhalers at home.
Like the ones you plug in?
Yeah, exactly. You can just mix a small amount of baking soda with water right in its little reservoir. Then you just breathe in that alkaline steam for about, say, 10 to 15 minutes. It's very direct.
Okay. And if you don't have one of those gadgets?
No problem at all. You can get a similar effect using just a pot. You take 1 level tablespoon of baking soda, make sure it's level, not heaped.
Got it.
Add that to about 1 liter of water in a regular cooking pot. Bring it to a boil, then immediately turn the heat right down so it's just gently simmering. Then, and you need to be careful here, obviously drape a towel over your head and the pot, kind of making a little tent.
Right, the classic steam inhalation method.
Exactly. Lean over the pot, but keep a safe distance so you don't get scalded by the steam. And just breathe that alkaline steam in for, again, about 10 to 15 minutes. Comfort and safety are key.
Makes sense. And how often would someone do this?
The guidance suggests doing this twice a day, so once in the morning and once in the evening.
Okay.
And just for a short period, maybe 2 to 3 days typically.
So it's quite a short intervention.
Yes. The idea is that this alkaline steam can maybe help prevent an infection from really taking hold and getting worse. Or if you already feel like you have an infection starting, it aims to prevent those further complications like the blockages from forming. And hopefully, ultimately, improve your situation by supporting clearer, easier breathing.
So it's about being proactive, either right at the start or early on.
That seems to be the focus, yes.
Yeah.
Acting quickly.
Now, if you thought the baking soda was, well, fairly straightforward, prepare for a remedy that honestly takes us into truly unexpected territory.
Right.
Remember we were talking about those tiny blood clots potentially forming in the lungs and how they can lead to serious permanent scarring?
Yes, the fibrosis.
Well, the insights we're exploring suggest a rather ancient and quite surprising method to potentially prevent those clots from hardening into permanent scarring.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
A single leech.
A leech. Right. Okay. That will certainly raise some eyebrows for many listeners, I imagine.
Mine included.
Well, what's insightful here, looking at the suggested approach, is the principle behind it, I suppose. Leeches, they have a long history in various medical traditions around the world.
Sure.
And they're known to deliver some powerful natural anticoagulants things that thin the blood, like Hyrodin, directly into the bloodstream when they bite.
Ah, okay. So it's about blood thinning.
Essentially, yes. The premise here seems to be that a single application could actively disrupt and prevent those microscopic blood clots from forming properly or from sort of calcifying or hardening into that permanent fibrous scarring.
So it's suggested as a very targeted, almost immediate intervention to protect against what you said could be the most serious long-term issue from a lung infection.
Precisely. This single application is theoretically believed to interrupt that clotting process, the one that can lead to tissue damage and that long-term reduction in lung function we talked about.
Wow.
It's really about preserving the lung's delicate structure, preventing those areas from becoming stiff and less functional, which, as you say, is often considered the most serious potential long-term outcome. It's definitely a dramatic but very specific intervention proposed for a very specific problem.
It really is. And okay, practically speaking, how would someone even do that?
Well, the application described is surprisingly simple. You'd need to obtain a medical leech, specifically from a pharmacy, to ensure it's sterile and appropriate for this use.
Right, not just one from the garden pond.
Definitely not. A medical-grade leech. Then you gently place it on your abdomen.
On the stomach area.
Yes. The leech will attach itself, do its work for a period of time, and then when it's finished, it naturally detaches and falls off.
By itself.
Yes. And the whole process is described as a singular event, not something you repeat. It's certainly a fascinating glimpse into less conventional methods of intervening in these quite complex physiological processes.
It really is. Quite the leap, isn't it? From, an ancient unconventional remedy like that to something you almost certainly have in your kitchen pantry right now. Baking soda.
Back to the baking soda.
Yes. But even with something as common as baking soda, we found there's a crucial detail, often overlooked apparently, about how to really unlock its potential for broader well-being, specifically when making what's sometimes called slaked soda or effective alkaline water.
I guess.
Many people try making this at home, maybe for various reasons, but there's a specific trick to doing it right, isn't there?
You're absolutely right. It's a common point of confusion. Baking soda, chemically speaking, is sodium bicarbonate. It's a salt.
Good.
But for it to truly transform into the more potent alkali that these approaches suggest is beneficial, it needs a very specific condition. It isn't just about dissolving it in water. It's about an actual chemical change.
And that crucial condition is hot water. Really hot.
Exactly. Not just warm, but boiling. We're talking over 90 degrees Celsius, which is about 195 Fahrenheit. Really hot.
Wow, okay.
This transformation into a true alkali only happens when you mix baking soda with genuinely boiling water. If you just use cold or even lukewarm water, the baking soda dissolves, sure, but it doesn't undergo that crucial chemical change. It doesn't become the active alkaline form that's aimed for in these methods.
Is there a way to tell if it's working?
Yes, absolutely. There's a very clear visual cue.
Hmm.
When you add the baking soda to the boiling water, it will fizz and bubble quite vigorously. That effervescence, the fizzing sound and the bubbles you see, that's carbon dioxide being released. And that's your sign that the baking soda is actively changing. It's transforming into its more alkaline and, according to these insights, more useful form.
So the fizzing is the key indicator. Okay, so what's the precise recipe then to make this standard alkaline solution for general use?
Right. For a standard effective solution suitable for the various applications mentioned, here's the precise method. You take a slightly less than full teaspoon of baking soda.
Less than full, so level it off, maybe even a little under.
Exactly. No heap, just slightly less than a level teaspoon. Add that measured amount to 250 milliliters of boiling water. That's roughly 1 standard metric cup.
Okay, 250 milliliters boiling.
Then you stir it thoroughly. Keep stirring until all the fizzing has completely stopped. That tells you the chemical transformation is complete.
And then it's going to be boiling hot.
Ah, yes, very important safety point. While it needs boiling water to be made correctly, you must always allow the solution to cool right down. Let it cool to a warm or even room temperature before you use it in any way, whether drinking it or applying it. Never, ever use or ingest a hot baking soda solution.
That's a really critical warning. Thank you.
Okay.
So once it's made and cooled, how long can we keep it? And what do we need to know about storing it safely?
That's a very practical question. You can store this prepared alkaline solution just at room temperature. It doesn't spoil in the traditional sense, so there's no need to refrigerate it.
Okay.
However, there's a catch. If you keep it for, say, a week or longer, the water content will slowly start to evaporate.
Ah, so it gets stronger.
Exactly. As the water evaporates, the solution becomes much more concentrated. And a highly concentrated alkaline solution could potentially cause irritation. Maybe even a mild burn if you applied it to sensitive skin, or just an uncomfortable sensation if you were to ingest it.
Right, that makes sense. So what should you do?
Well, if your solution has been sitting around for a week or more, it's probably a good practice just to add a little bit of plain water to it before you use it, just to dilute it back down a bit, bring it closer to its original, safer concentration.
Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Always remember, it's far better to have the solution slightly weaker than intended than to have it too strong, especially if you're thinking of putting it on your skin to avoid any itching or irritation. Just common sense and caution are your best guides here.
That's incredibly valuable advice. Making it right, cooling it, and then being careful about concentration if it's stored. Great to know. Now, this homemade alkaline solution, it isn't just for the steam inhalation or lung health specifically, is it? It sounds like it has a remarkable versatility for other uses, too.
It absolutely does. Based on the insights we looked at, it's quite remarkable how this single well-prepared solution is suggested for so many potential applications, ranging from, oral health right through to helping with everyday discomforts.
So beyond the respiratory uses we talked about, what else might listeners find this alkaline solution potentially useful for?
Well, for example, it's suggested for rinsing your mouth.
Okay. Why?
The idea presented is that it can help protect tooth enamel, perhaps by neutralizing acids, and just generally support overall oral hygiene.
Interesting.
It's also suggested it can be carefully used as nose drops for things like common sniffles or maybe helping with sinus issues.
Those drops. Yeah.
And quite interestingly, it's even suggested for external applications, like applying it as a wrap for your feet. The specific mention was to help with what were referred to as salt deposits.
Salt deposits on the feet. Okay.
Yes. And the key thing is, for all these different uses, the preparation method is described consistently. That slightly less than a full teaspoon in the 250 milliliters of boiling water, allowed to cool to a comfortable temperature. And always being mindful of the concentration for safety, especially if it's been stored. It really comes across almost like a versatile DIY household health staple in these approaches.
It certainly sounds like it. Well, we've definitely reached the end of another really fascinating deep dive today. We've covered some truly unique home approaches to well-being, haven't we?
We certainly have.
From the surprising simplicity, maybe, of alkaline soda steam for potentially supporting lung health and preventing complications, to the very unexpected use of a single leech proposed for preventing serious lung scarring.
Quite a range.
And then, grounding it all, we covered that precise, step-by-step method for making and safely using an alkaline baking soda solution for a whole variety of general purposes. It's definitely a collection of insights that broadens the perspective on everyday remedies.
If we connect this all back to the bigger picture, I think it certainly encourages us to think differently, doesn't it? About the properties of really common ingredients, things we have around us all the time,
Hmm.
and how they might be leveraged in ways we don't always consider for our health. The insights we've explored today, they really highlight a belief in accessible self-care and prevention,
Hmm.
using items that are readily available to many people. And maybe this raises an important question for you, the listener, to ponder. What other everyday items, perhaps sitting right there in your pantry or maybe in your medicine cabinet right now, might hold surprising yet perhaps unexplored potential for enhancing our well-being?